Will you practice maths or you will get beatings from me? Tell me. Do it. Sophia, good evening. Take this book and practice like this. Take it and practice. Inform everyone to join first. I'm going to take for class 10th, after that your class. Alternate I'm taking now. Yeah, you will sit outside and do. Sneha, good evening. Satya, good evening. Jasmita, good evening. Everyone, good evening. So, we are going to do one work. We are going to start the work. See, look here, human eye and colorful world, one short revision we are going to start with. So, what is exactly about human eye and colorful world we are going to understand. One more time, we are going to understand about eye, its part, and what type of questions they are giving in from human eye and colorful world. Defect is one of the most common part from where they are asking questions. Ritvijan, good evening, beta. Jasmita, good evening. Inform everyone to join as fast as possible. Little bit 40 minutes break I took. Okay. I'm starting your session now. Now look at. So here, what is human eye is natural optical instrument, yes, which gives us sensation of vision. Sensation of vision means we can see things because of human eye. So because of the presence of human eye, we can have a keep on one side and start doing up. At least for exam study. Okay, now look here. So human eye is natural optical instrument. If somebody will be asking you what is the meaning of natural optical instrument, see it is exactly the one device. See in human eye you will be seeing a lens. The lens will be convex in shape and that is a natural lens. Okay, okay. So that is a natural lens and when you will be talking about this natural lens, these natural lens convergence will keep on changing. Its convergence will change means it can be able to converge and it can be the convergence will be changing and its focal length will also be changing. So this is one part property of it. Now look at the vertical section of the human eye is called optical is an optical system as shown in the given diagram. The main part of human eyes are as follows. So let's see the main part. One time we are going to have a thorough revision. Sir, what is this?
2 minutes I have to
2 minutes. I am waiting up for more than 20 minutes. I thought you people will come on its own. I informed in message and I am starting class. After that, you people are not visible. What is this? Now look here. First is we are going to take care of these things. So this is the vitreous humor, the fluid that is comprising the second section of the eye. It is exactly the second part of the eye is filled with. The second part of the eye is filled with a fluid that is called as vitreous humor. The first part of the eye is filled with aqueous humor. So the fluid, all other way. So this is exactly, this part is called as aqueous humor. This part will be filled with aqueous humor and this part will be filled with vitreous humor. Now this upper bulge area is called as cornea. This upper bulge area is called as cornea and it is transparent. The upper bulge area is called as cornea and it is transparent. Understood? Now this section is aqueous humor will be filled. This part, it is the hanging pouch is called as iris. This is the colorful shutter, understood? And iris decides the size of the eye, understood? The pupil will open and contract because of the pupil is a hole. Pupil is a hole, and that size will keep changing because of change in size. So now we are going to talk about the next part. Now let's check this one out. Now this part is called as ciliary muscles. This section is called as ciliary muscles, and ciliary muscles are connected with suspensory ligament. Ciliary muscles, suspensory ligament, and this is lens. Ciliary muscles, suspensory ligament, and lens. So this part is considered as ciliary muscles. This section is ciliary muscles, and it is handled with suspensory ligament, and this part will be called as lens. Now next part is, this is exactly iris. The iris is type just like a shutter, and it will keep on changing its shape because of the light brightness that is encountered. After that, cornea. Cornea is the bulge portion. This part is filled with a fluid called as aqueous humor, and this part is filled with vitreous humor. This spot is considered as blind spot, and this is called as optic nerve. The optic nerve, the side from where the blind spot is, yes, the side from where the blind spot is exactly, this is the side blind spot from where only the optic nerves is coming out. After that, this part, you need to remember this section, that is choroid. Choroid is black in color. After that comes the retina. The screen where the image is obtained is called as retina. Another important part is sclerotic. Sclerotic. That sclerotic is the white part. It is exactly covering. And this is retina. Choroid. Choroid is what color? Black color. The choroid is what color? Black color. Understood? So everything is done sclerotic. White of iris, understood? White of eye is called as sclerotic. Again, one more time, what portion of the eye is called as sclerotic? This is choroid. Choroid is in what color? Black color. This is retina. The screen part will be considered as retina, and this is yellow spot. The yellow spot are fovea. Understood? The fovea is the region where the image is exactly obtained. What is the fovea? The fovea is the region where the image is obtained. Understood? Sclerotic, all part done. Now here we are going to start human eye. Now let's see the most important content related to sclerotic. You know that the outer layer of the eye. So it is the outermost covering of the eye. It consists of white, tough, fibrous tissues. So our eye is looking white in color because of this sclerotic. So this is white, tough, fibrous tissues. Its function is to protect the internal part of the eye. What is the function of sclerotic? It is protecting the inner part of the eye. The white coating present on the cornea, the white portion covering the eye will be called as sclerotic. Understood? And it is a tough fibrous tissues. It is a for tough fibrous tissues. Understood? So now we are going to go for in cornea, window of the world. Why the cornea? The bulge portion is called as the window of the world because the light is entering from cornea only. So hi Sanjay, you reached me now. So light is exactly entering from cornea only, and that cornea will be exactly converging the light. Converging the light means it will allow the light to enter. Other portion of the eyes are not allowing the light to enter. So wherever cornea will be there, that cornea part will be only allowing the light to enter. Understood? So that's why it is called as window to the world. So once the light will enter through cornea, that light will exactly reach the lens and refraction will happen, and based on that only the image will be formed on retina. And that image will get converted into electrical impulse. That image will get converted into electrical impulse. The image will get converted into electrical impulse, and after that electrical impulses इसमें कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है यार, ईमेल में ओपन नहीं हो रहा है. ईमेल में ओपन नहीं होगा तो फिर मैं इसको लोड कैसे करूँगी? Mic is there. How echo is it getting echo? No. The room is very big and because of that only Gaurav, it might be possible that echo is coming. Okay. We need to check. Mic is working only. No problem. Mic is there. So now look here. So this is exactly consisting of what cornea. So we understood that cornea is considered as window to the world. After that, what we are talking about sclerotic. Understood? Sclerotic portion is the white tissue portion, the outermost region, which is exactly made with tough fiber and it is protecting the inner part of the eye. Understood? Next is cornea. It allows the light to enter inside the eyeball. The front portion of the eye is what they are sharply curved and it is made up of hard transparent membrane known as cornea. It is a thin membrane covering the surface. So already we have studied about it. So that means what? What and all are the speciality of cornea? The cornea will exactly be consisting of that portion of the eye which will allow the light to enter inside it. Understood or not? And next important point is it is a thin membrane. So one we have seen this part now, the coating. This is exactly the thin membrane, and through this only the light will enter. Understood? How much amount of light will enter? It is totally dependent upon pupil. That is the hole that is present. The size will get contracted and relaxed. It is totally depend upon what? It totally depends upon pupil, and pupil is totally dependent upon iris. The contraction and relaxation of the iris size will decide how much light will enter inside, and this is totally dependent upon what? It is totally dependent upon how much light is present nearby you. Then pupil will also iris will automatically contract or relax. So when it will contract or relax, it will exactly allow the amount of light to enter inside it. I hope you might have understood this one. So now we will go for the next part. Cornea, window to the world, it is definitely called as window to the world. Now it allows the light to enter into the eyeball. The front of the eye is sharply curved and it is made of hard transparent membrane known as cornea. It is a thin membrane covering the surface of eyeball through which light enters. Maximum part of refraction occur at cornea. How much part? Maximum part of refraction is occurring at cornea. Understood? Maximum part of refraction is occurring where? Understood. Maximum part of refraction is occurring at cornea. Now look here. It is a thin membrane covering the surface of eyeball. So now we need to understand that vitreous humor. We know that I already told you there are two type of fluid. One is called as aqueous humor. The another part is called as vitreous humor. One is aqueous humor. The second part is called as vitreous humor. Aqueous humor and vitreous humor. So first part is aqueous humor. Second part is vitreous humor. So when the aqueous humor will be taking place and what is the speciality of aqueous humor? What is the speciality of vitreous humor? So speciality of aqueous humor is it is exactly some when somebody will be asking you about aqueous humor, what answer you are going to say?
Which keeps uh, prevents the eyeball from collapsing.
Jelly like fluid is there. Okay. After that,
Maintaining the posture of eyeball.
did you got this? Now listen. Please check this one out. Now, vitreous humor is a dense jelly-like fluid, slightly grey in color. That the back portion means the lens will be separating aqueous humor and vitreous humor. So, vitreous humor part will be dense jelly fluid, slightly grey in color, filling the posterior part of the eyeball. Anterior means the front part, posterior means the back part. Understood? So now, the posterior part of the eyeball, it has the following function. It prevents the eyeball from collapsing. Understood? Because it is making the eyeball size intact. Got it? Next, due to the change in the atmospheric pressure, sometimes atmospheric pressure takes place. Understood or not? It's not like that the eye, body, everything will have a very uniform composition. If you will go in different region, the pressure of that region will change. Understood or not? Specifically, if you will go very deep down inside, diving at the time of swimming, understood or not? So the pressure of the water will definitely distort the body size. So that pressure will not allow the eyeball to distort because of what? Because of vitreous humor. Understood? So it prevents the eyeball from collapsing due to change in the atmospheric pressure. Next, it's partially help in focusing the image clearly on retina. It partially helps the image to get focused on retina. So this is one thing. Next part is when we talk about aqueous humor. So aqueous humor, it is a watery saline fluid. Understood? Saline means salty fluid. That was jelly-like, understood, gray color, but this is watery saline fluid filling the anterior portion of the eye. It has the following function. What and all are the function? It prevents the interior portion of the eye from collapsing due to the changes in the atmospheric pressure. Already this one also doing the same thing. Next, when we blink our eyes, a tiny drop of aqueous humor flows out from the side of the eye. Understood? The fluid that is present inside, it will try to come out. Little bit of ink. The moment you are blinking your eyes, little bit of aqueous humor is coming up. Understood? Not? From one corner of the eye, then it washes the eye and keep the cornea moist. And moist is very important. The cornea will shrivel and become opaque. Otherwise, the cornea will shrivel and it will become opaque. So it is not allowing the cornea to become opaque. After this class, continuously I am going to take 12th class. Okay, Tanish? After this, I am going to take 12th beta. After this, I am going to take 12th. I hope you might have understood this one. Now please check this one out. Next part. Okay, Danish. Now look here. When we wink our eye, a tiny drop of aqueous humor flows out from the side of the eye, then it washes the eye and keep the otherwise the cornea will shrivel and become opaque. So next part is if somebody will talk to you about iris. So somebody will be asking you about iris, means what answer you are going to say? Iris. Behind the cornea, there is a shutter-like object. Understood? So now look here. So now behind the cornea there is opaque colored diaphragm known as iris. The color of the eye depends upon the color of the iris. That's what now usually what color we are seeing? Black color, brown color, blue color, very rare, and green color. Understood? So these are the color of the iris. Yes, animals white color also sometimes in ghost you are seeing. So the color of the eye depends upon the color of the iris. There is a circular hole in that and that is called as pupil. So till here we already know the action of iris is involuntary. You cannot control the iris. It totally controlled by the amount of light that is entering inside. Understood not? So if you are exactly going in a very bright room, means automatically iris will relax and it will make the hole very small. Understood? So contraction and relaxation of iris will definitely allow the light to enter inside it. Understood? So the light entering the eye is adapted by the pupil. The pupil dilate, contract depending. So the pupil dilates or contract depending upon the amount of light available. So definitely we need to check that how much of amount of light is available. Based on that only we can be able. Why? Because the reason is because if more amount of light is entering inside our eye, it can damage our eyes. See, so only most of the time what we are saying, don't take the sun rays directly inside your eyes. The lens will damage. Understood? The light entering the eye is adapted by pupil. The pupil dilates and contract depends upon the amount of light available. Its function is to control the amount of light entering in the eyes, and it is advised by and this is achieved by the muscle present in the diaphragm. So those muscles only contract and relaxes. So iris muscles only are going to play the vital role. So the last part, let's see. I'm highlighting the last part. So this is achieved by muscle present in the diaphragm. When the muscles contract, they increase the size of pupil. Understood? So when the iris muscles are contracting, it will increase the size of the pupil. So that means what? When I want to see in dark room, the pupil size will iris muscles will contract. So if it will contract means the whole size will become big. So this will always be happening in which room? Dark room. So in dark room this actually happens. Understood or not? But on the contrary, if you will see the size is exactly like this and it is big. So that means it is relaxation. So it is relaxing. So this will be exactly done in bright room. So that less amount of light will enter. So in bright room it is contracting. Sorry, in dark room it is contracting. In bright room it is relaxing. So this is one of the most important things. So it enters the light and this is exactly the most important part. Always remember because most of the students they write wrong in examination and coming happily that I wrote correct. When it contracts, when it will be contracting? Dark room or yes, in dark room it will contract, in bright room it will relax. So this is the next point. In bright room and dark room it will contract and relax. Now we are going to talk about eye lens. So if somebody will be talking about eye lens, we know that eye lens is a double convex lens. What is eye lens? Eye lens is a double convex lens. So if somebody will be asking you, double convex lens means it is made up of transparent flexible tissues and behind the pupil and it is held by muscle called as ciliary muscles. It is held by muscles called as ciliary muscles. So that part only we did now. That ciliary muscles are nicely holding. Ciliary muscles are nicely holding the ciliary muscles and suspensory ligament. This is ciliary muscle. This is suspensory ligament. So suspensory ligament and ciliary muscles they will only be holding. And our eyes is the only one which is very sophisticated and its shape changes. Its shape is changing. So its shape keeps on changing. It is a transparent crystalline structure made up of many concentric layers. So it is kept in its position by a strong elastic frame called as suspensory ligament. And we have discussed about now that this part is exactly going to be suspended. This is suspensory ligament and this is ciliary muscles. Ciliary muscles and suspensory ligament. Ciliary muscles and suspensory ligament. Okay. Ciliary muscles and suspensory ligament. The eye lens help to divide the eye chamber into two parts. Correct, no? The lens will be exactly dividing the eye into two parts. One is anterior, another one is posterior. In anterior is the front portion, posterior is the understood. Posterior is the back portion. I hope you might have understood. Anterior is the front portion and posterior is the back portion. I hope you have understood this part. Everybody understood this? Anterior and posterior Kartik. So now we are going to understand the front chamber between the cornea and the eye lens is called as anterior chamber. It is filled with the fluid called as aqueous humor. Refractive index of aqueous humor is this part already one time I have taught. Hi Kartik. So this is exactly called as 1.337. Remember. I hope you have understood this one. So now look here. So this part is most important. What is the refractive index of aqueous humor? 1.83. The back chamber between the eyelids and the retina is called as posterior chamber and is filled with jelly-like material called as vitreous humor. So this is the difference between aqueous humor and vitreous humor. So vitreous humor refractive index is 1.37. Understood? So aqueous humor and vitreous humor refractive index. So now we are going to talk about ciliary muscles because we are exactly covering the entire part. So now understand this section that the ciliary muscles are that muscles which exactly changes the focal length of the eye lens. Contraction and relaxation of ciliary muscles will change the focal length of the lens. Usually any type of camera focal length we cannot change, but for human eye we can change the focal length because of the ciliary muscles. The ciliary muscles contraction and relaxation can change the focal length. So these muscles together with suspensory ligament control the position of the eyelids. I have already talked about it. Now this will contract, they decrease the focal length of the crystalline lens. Understood? So if ciliary muscles will contract,
Okay, that decreases.
TMR means, so when these muscles contract, they decrease the focal length of the crystalline lens. Similarly, when they will relax, they will increase the focal length of the crystalline lens. Its function is the alter of focal length of crystalline lens so that the image of the object at various distance can be focused. See, you need to understand that if the focal TMR, what is TMR? So you need to understand one thing. You need to understand that if ciliary muscles will contract, focal length will reduce.
Oh, that decrease
Decrease, yes, it will reduce. The focal length will reduce. That means convergence power will increase. Understood? So when ciliary muscles will relax. The focal length will increase. Convergence will reduce. So convergence power will reduce. Okay? Convergence power will reduce. So this is the difference. I hope you might have understood. So convergence power will, I am taking classes in offline also. So now look, its function is the alter of focal length. Please note down this one. In short, you need to please understand this. I hope you might. Its function is to alter the focal length of the crystalline lens so that the image of the object at various distances is clearly focused on the retina. So if we want to clearly focus on retina means we can do like that. I hope you might have understood this one. So this is the most its function is the alter the focal length. So if ciliary muscles will contract, focal length will reduce. If ciliary muscles will relax, focal length will increase. That's the most important part. Now we are going to go for the next part, retina. So retina is that part where what is happening, it's just like a screen. In back of the eyeball, it is exactly work as a screen. But all the part of the back portion is not available for vision. Understood? So we know that fovea is there in the yellow spot. Where what is there? Fovea. In which spot? Yellow spot. So now let's see, there is a thin delicate membrane made up of optical nerve fiber which cover the most of the interior part of the eye. This is known as retina. So the back portion of the eye will be considered as retina. So optical nerves spread throughout end in the form of rods and cones to form retina. So definitely, if somebody will be asking you what is the function of rods and cones, then what answer you are going to see? Where rods are letting your eye see visible in dark, cones are exactly putting color in the image. Understood? So color implantation in the image and letting the image visible in dark is responsible because of two different type of cells present in retina. And what are the names of the cells? Rods and cones. So usually in human eye, the number of cones is more and rods is less. So we cannot see in dark. I hope.
but equally opposite in numbers. Animals have large small constellation.
What light you are asking for, sir? So now look here. So what we are going to do here is we are going to understand that rods and cones. So in animals, the number of rods are high, cones are less. Understood? So rods are high and cones are less. So what they will do?
They usually can see light and dark room, but they don't have color.
Yes, so they cannot see that, and they cannot be able to differentiate different type of color, because both the cells cannot be same amount. Understood? If one is high, another one will automatically become less. Understood? So rods are exactly having two different type of cells. What are the two different type of cells? Understood? This is exactly light chapter is already over. Can you go in the channel and check? We have done light chapter revision. In that all sections separately we have done revision. Okay. Now the yellow spot is a patch of about how much meter? 2 mm in diameter spread over retina. This is exactly the center of yellow spot and is slightly depressed and is portion of about how much? 0.25 mm diameter, and it is called as foveae centralis, which contain only cones. Understood? So that's why it is exactly making things very visible with color. Understood? So imparting color is because of a special type of cells called as cones. Understood? The yellow spot is enriched with, that also is taught and it is kept in the group. Everything we have done. So we are just chapter by chapter giving a very thorough short description and doing, and then parallelly we are solving questions also. So now look here. Next part is, in this section please remember, yellow spot is located where? In retina. With diameter is 2 mm. After that it is slightly depressed with little bulge inside, and after that, okay, and after that the spot where the optic nerve enter, it is called as blind spot. Already we have had discussion about it. So now we are going to talk about foveae. What is foveae? Foveae is exactly a type of depression. Understand or not? So foveae is a type of depression, and when we talk about foveae, it is the center of macula that contain only cones constitute the area of maximum visual activity. So whenever you will be talking about visual things, that will be exactly containing because of the yellow spot. And yellow spot means next part what we have to do? Say yellow spot on retina. It is foveae. It is full of cones, and they are imparting color into it. So visual, whenever we want to have the sensation of sight with colors, it will be exactly responsible. This is exactly responsible for giving it. Understood? So macula. The macula is a very small area at the center of retina. This is thin layer of light sensitive tissue that lies at the back of the eye. The inside surface of rear part of the eyeball where the light enters the eye is focused is called as retina. How many cells will be there? 125 million light sensitive receptors are there. Now look here, you need to understand one thing. You need to understand a simple mechanism is there, that okay, when we will have a vision, when we will see things, it's not only like color seeing, its clarity is also there. Means convergence will be there, focal length change will be there. Simultaneously, we can see far off things and nearby things. So everything is simultaneously done. So it is exactly done due to retina. See, if somebody will be asking you, when light falls on these receptors, they will send electrical signals to the brain. So let's see, let's have a talk about it from the beginning section. One small thing we are going to understand here. So now look here. See what is actually happening here. When the light is exactly entering inside the eye through cornea, this ciliary muscles, if it is a bright room, The ciliary muscles, see, just so iris will relax. The size will become small. Ciliary muscles, because see, ciliary muscles will contract means the lens will become thin. And if ciliary muscles will contract means the lens will become thin. If it will relax means the lens will become thick. So lens will keep on changing its cells. Understood? And after that, whatever light ray will enter, it will be exactly making image here. Understood? So the image will be, the screen is this part. In this screen, there are different type of cells. The special region, yellow spot is there, foveae. There is exactly what is there? Rods and cones are present. Rods will be exactly responsible for seeing in night. But we are not having that in high number, we are having cones. So these cones are responsible for imparting color. So we can easily differentiate color because of the presence of cones in the yellow spot. Understood? So now macula part is a little hump region. So what actually is happening is, once the image is formed there, after formation of image, the image will get converted into electrical impulses. So these electrical impulses via optic nerve through blind spot, it will go to the brain. Understood? To the optic part. Understood or not? So we know that occipital lobe is there. Which lobe? Occipital lobe. So different sections, this optic nerve will carry the electrical impulses. These electrical impulses are nothing but the signals which is exactly converting the image into electrical part. Got it? And this image will go for interpretation in brain. I hope you might have understood this one. Is it clear? Very clearly I have explained this part. Correct, no? So revision part is good or not? So aqueous humor, refractive index is 1.337. Understood? Vitreous humor is?
1.3.
Okay. So now look here. So foveae we have discussed, macula we have discussed. Now we are going to talk about choroid. This is the black membrane behind the retina. Yes, the retina has to be, see, the retina has to be covered. So it is exactly Ashutosh Swan. Yes, Ashutosh. So here, definitely you need to understand this part. The retina is exactly covered with a black specific screen. So that membrane behind the retina composed of many blood vessels linked internally with pigment cell known as choroid. So this is exactly enriching the retina portion. Understood or not? So its function is to darken the eye from inside and hence prevent any internal reflection. If internal reflection will occur, then no, I am just explaining this part. This will not be for this portion. But yes, macula region is exactly in the yellow spot itself I have discussed now. That macula, the macula is a very small area at the center of retina. Understood? It is a thin layer of light sensitive tissues and it will be exactly sensitive to light. Got it? So now another thing is, in this surface, the internal part only, if you will be seeing that in that region only, whatever image will be formed, that image will get converted into electrical impulses and via optic nerve it will go to the brain. That is actually happening there. So now you need to understand the next part is like choroid. You need to understand that the choroid portion will not allow. See, you might have seen in rainbow that rainbow formation is due to total internal reflection. Understood or not? Dispersion. So if you will not have a black covering outside, once the image is formed, means again the light will go out. And once the light will go out, the color dispersion will be there. You will not be able to have a vision. Understood or not? So it is exactly doing a very important. Choroid is a very important part because it covers the back part of the retina. So retina back portion is dark and it is exactly covering it. So with pigment cells known as choroid, its function is to darken the eye from inside and hence prevent any internal reflection. It is preventing what, beta? It is preventing internal reflection. Next, optical axis, we know that the straight line covering is exactly called as optical axis. Like the principal axis is there, the center part, the lens will be yes. So this is, however, this line intersect the retina below the fovea and it is not most color sensitive image will be formed in that region. Understood? This part you please remember one time. See this, the optical axis is the most direct line through the center of cornea to the pupil and lens and the retina. That means if this part will become the center part, it is is exactly lens section and to the retina. So this is the line that draws sharpest focus that look to the object. Next is, however, this line intersect the retina below the fovea. Below the fovea. Below the fovea, it is intersecting the retina and is not the most light and colorful sensitive image will be not in that place. Okay. So now we are going to, can you check the optical axis? Understood? So little works are left. If we will do that work, miss, we will be able to understand this nicely. Now visual axis, we know that, see, optical axis is different, but visual axis is different. Understood? So now the visual axis draws a line from the center of pupil to the fovea. So this axis gives the best color vision, but because it does not intersect the cornea and lens and their exact center, therefore image is not as clear as light passing through the optical axis. So this will give a clear cut image, but this vertical axis will not give a clear cut. But this is exactly very good for color. Understood? Fovea is present upside now, so cone amount will be more there. So it will be more color, but it is not sharpest. But here it is sharpest. Understood? So this part will be sharpest, but this part is not sharpest. I hope how was the class? Did you learn it? So now construction, we need to understand that the eye is nearly spherical in shape. What is the diameter of the eye? 25 mm. The wall of the eyeball consists of two major layers. Covering is known as sclerotic layer. It is a tough, opaque and white substance. Already we have discussed. The front of this coating form a curved section known as cornea. Already in this section we have finished. Now rods and cones already we have discussed. So now we are going to go for the next section. Who told that section is over? Huh? Yellow spot. So if somebody will be asking you about yellow spot, we know that yellow spot is the region where it's situated at the center of the retina and it is slightly raised. Where macula is slightly depressed, it is slightly raised and it has little depression called as fovea centralis, which is extremely sensitive to light. Its function is to form an extremely clear image. So yellow spot only will be given. But blind spot, what is the difference between yellow spot and blind spot?
I mean, no arts, arts.
Himanshu, I did not got time. Continuously I am taking classes. When I am getting time to check? Continuously I am taking class or not? In between just for lunch I went for 10-15 minutes, maybe half an hour I went for break. After that again I came. Night only possible for me. Okay. So now listen. So after that, the least sensitive point is known as blind spot. There is no rods and cones at that, and vision is also not possible. Understood? And blind spot is the reason through which
Yeah, because it's going to optic nerve
Uh,
and reaching brain and interpretation of the state.
I hope you might have understood. So this is exactly the part. So there is no rods and cones at the point where optic nerve leaves the eyeball to go to the brain. So definitely we are knowing that in this portion only, the light, the rays are exactly, the optic nerves are exactly leaving the eyeball and going towards the brain. And these optic nerves are doing a very important work, and that is
Transmission of impulses to brain.
they are taking the electrical impulses, the images in the form of electrical impulses and sending to brain. Understood? So color perception of animal, this is a very important portion. Sometimes they will ask unwanted questions. Okay, so now different animals have different color perception due to different structure of rod shaped cells and cone shaped. So we know that bees have some cone shaped cells that are sensitive to ultraviolet. Therefore, bees can see object in ultraviolet light, can perceive color which we cannot. So bees can see in ultraviolet rays. I hope you might have understood. So please kindly note down this one. Understood. So now please pay attention for this. In ultraviolet light and can perceive color which we cannot. I hope you might have understood this part. Huh? So now human being cannot see in ultraviolet light as their retina does not have cone shaped cells that are sensitive to ultraviolet. Our eye do not have that cone shaped cell which is sensitive to ultraviolet. But these are the only what you call insects, what you can say, they can be able to have vision in ultraviolet lights. Understood or not? So they are having vision in ultraviolet lights. They are sensitive to that. Okay. So human being cannot see ultraviolet light. It is not possible for them. Now let's see. We will. The retina of chicks has mostly cone-shaped cells and only a few rod-shaped cells. As rod-shaped cells are sensitive to bright light. So chicks wake up with sunrise and sleeps at sunset. Like how we are actually doing the same things, chicks are also doing because they have cone shape. Visual impairment means that the eye does not work properly. Understood? It occurs when any part of the eye involved in the transmission of light, eye lens, vitreous humor, or conversion of light into electrical impulsion or carrying impulsion to the brain is damaged. So that's why it is called as what? Visual impairment. What it is exactly called as? Visual impairment. What it is called as? Visual impairment. What happens when we enter a dim light room from a bright light region? So this is another important question, is what all things are happening when we are entering from a bright light to a dark room. Understood or not? So here you see, in bright light the iris contract, correct? The pupil will become less, already we have discussed. So we move from a dim light room, the iris takes time to expand the pupil, allowing more light to enter, making objects visible. So iris is contracting. The contraction of iris will make the pupil size big so that more amount of light can enter. And since more amount of light can enter means things will be visible in dark. Understood? Usually our rods amount in retina is less. Because of that, vision is not possible. I hope you have understood that part. So now, second section also we know that accommodation of an eye. This is the most another important point.
Every day of the night will change total and you see far and near to distance by changing focal length. It's called accommodation.
Just 1 minute more. We'll do our work. Now you go. So now look at accommodation of an eye. A normal eye can see the near and far off object clearly. Correct now? Now how we are exactly accommodated? So if the sharp image of these objects are formed on retina, since the distance between the eye lens and the retina is fixed. It is not going to change. V is constant here. So image will be always obtained on screen. Understood? No matter where and all objects are there, here focus is changing. In normal camera, anything what we are exactly doing is the screen is exactly see. Usually the place where the image is obtained keep on shifting. But here one thing is there, the screen is fixed. What is changing is the focal length keeps on changing. Understood? So that's what is the difference between the man-made and the natural one. Understood? So here V is constant. So see the object different position from the eye lens, but the focal length of the has changed according to the sharp image of the object. This already we have known now that because of change in ciliary muscles, when ciliary muscles will contract, focal length will become less. The lens will become thin, thick, thin, thick. So lens is changing, and because of
Hence, will increase of focal length.
yes, but the image location will be fixed. So the image location is not at all going to change. Yes. So now we are going to go for the next part. If the object to be seen is far off, then the sharp image of this object can be found on retina of the eye by increasing the focal length of the lens. By increasing the focal, अभी class में हो हिमांशु क्या कर रहे हो? So now look here. If the object to be seen is far off, then the sharp image of this object can be found on the retina of the eye by increasing the focal length of the eye lens. So here focal length is increased, convergence is decreased. So you need to remember this one. If the object I want to see far off object, which type of object? Far off object. So if I have to see far off object, what next work we are going to do? If I have to see far off object, okay? If I have to see far off object, the sharp image of this object can be found on the retina of the eye by increasing the focal length of the eye lens. Now the focal length of the lens increases if its thickness decreases. So if thickness will be decreasing, focal length will be increasing. Correct now? So thickness means if it will become thick, focal length will decrease, convergence will increase. You need to remember this part, please note down if it is possible. Please understand this part that there are two things. If the object, if you want to see far off object, what type of object? Far off object, then the image of this object can be found on the retina of the eye by increasing the focal length of the eyelids. Understood? So far off means focal length has to be increased. Convergence will decrease. Understood? So for that, for increasing the focal length, what we need to? Suspensory ciliary muscles has to relax. Relaxing means, expanding means focal length will increase. Understood? So if the focal length of the lens increases, its thickness decreases. Understood? Sorry. I did one mistake. Wait, I'll write here, then it will become answerable. In hurry, I spoke one statement. I'm taking that statement back. Please check if the object far off means infinity. So object is at infinity. Then sharp image of this object can be found on retina. That time focal length of the eye has to increase. So focal length has to increase. Understood? So the focal length of the lens increases if its thickness decreases. Understood? It has to be thin.
When the focal length should be increasing, the thickness of lens should be
Thickness has to be reduced.
okay.
Understood? See, the thickness decrease. Thus, the decrease the thickness of the eye lens and hence increase its focal length. So completely relaxed. I told you, ciliary muscles to see far off object. The ciliary muscles are relaxed. Please note on this one. Ciliary muscles will be relaxed at that moment. Ciliary muscles will be relaxed at that particular moment. Santosh, I'm going to start class. Now, yes, by finishing their part, I'm going to start class.
When we go for tea break.
Okay, go ahead, come.
Oh, that's the first question.
Don't take too much time. In 10-15 minutes, I'm going to start your class. Is it done? So now the parallel beam of light coming from the far off object focused on the retina means the object is seen clearly. Ciliary muscles will relax. Focal length, lens thickness reduced. Understood? Now it is okay. Next, to see that the object has to seem close to the eye, near the eye, the sharp image of the object can be formed on the retina. So this the eye by decreasing the focal length. So this time focal length has to be reduced. So focal length has to be reduced. Focal length has to be reduced for seeing nearby objects. When I want to see nearby object, focal length has to be reduced. That means lens has to become thick. Ciliary muscles will contract. Understood or not? So ciliary muscles will contract and will give more convergence. What it will give? More convergence. Understood? So you will be able to see the nearby objects clearly. Sharp image will be obtained. Come on, move on this. I have everybody might have understood how you are exactly going to handle these type of situations. Okay, very particularly you have to write the perfect answers. Unwanted answers are never invited in this platform. Understood or not? So means 10th writing means you have to be accurately writing. The concept is very simple. You have to read like that only. Now look here. So this section we have finished. That means what? Focus with object is focused by the lens on the retina. And the object is seen clearly as it is exactly done. So nearby, far off, and it is exactly the game of ciliary muscles. It is the game of what? Ciliary muscles. One time ciliary muscles will relax, focal length will increase. Ciliary muscles will contract, focal length will decrease. So focal length is decreasing for seeing nearby object and convergence will increase. Understood or not? Thickness will become more for seeing nearby object. Thickness will become less for seeing far off object. So these are certain situations. We must remember that part. So thus we observe that the focal length of the eye is adjustable accordingly by the action of ciliary muscles. So now we need to know that what is this process is known as accommodation of eye, because many people ciliary muscles is a type of muscle that is present in the brain, in the eyeball, which is exactly for contraction and relaxation of the eyeball. Okay, and it is connected to suspensory ligament. From down beta, can you pick mass? So now we are going to understand about the next part, because now babies last distance of distinct vision of normal eye of different ages. So different ages, distinct vision will be exactly responsible. For babies, what is that? 7 centimeter. For adult, 25 centimeter. Person of age above, it is 100. So only they won't be able to see the nearby object. However, our discussion we have concerned to normalize. For normalize, we are exactly talking about how much? 25 centimeter. Understood? So this is 44 diopter. That is power of eye lens.
B is equal to 1.
Yes. So 25 we are taking it as 25. And then power of the eye lens is exactly coming as 44 diopter. Normal eye. What is the power? 44 diopter. So the far point of normal eye is at infinity and vision will be coming as, see, 2.5 centimeter is what? 2.5 centimeter is the distance from the lens to the retina. See, in the eyeball, please remember this part. Why in the first question and the second part of the question, you can see here 2.5 written. So 2.5, when you will be drawing this section, to remember this part, I have already discussed it many times, that from the lens to the retina distance is 2.5 centimeter. So V of image distance is 2.5 and that is fixed. Okay, image distance is fixed. Here in eyeball, what is changing is focal length. Understood? Eyeball, what is changing is focal length. So here, for normal human, if they want to see the far off object, nearby object, na? So for normal eye, the nearby point is 25. So what is the diopter? 44 diopter. For far off object, what should be the diopter? It is exactly coming as 4D. How much it is coming as? 4D. Understood? 44 minus 40. So power of the lens is C. 40 diopter. For far off object, it is coming as 40 diopter. Nearby 44 diopter. Far off 40 diopter. Variation, it is coming as 4 diopter. It is coming. So variation, that book is there, break. So variation is exactly bringing it as 4. So therefore, normal eye, the power of accommodation is 4 diopter. Write down the important conclusion. What is the power of bring book and come here. So power of accommodation is, see, what is the advantage of having two eyes? See, why one wide above single human has a horizontal view of how much degree? 150 degree. However, two eyes separately for few centimeter, horizontal field of view increases by 180 degree. Single means 150. Two with separation is given as 180 degree. Understood? Together. So this is exactly the ability to increase by 180 degree. Furthermore, the ability to get the faint object is enhanced with the two eyes. Okay. So the two eyes separate by few centimeters in front or portion of the head. No doubt limits the field by only 180. But chameleon and other organisms are there. They can be seen with more vision. Understood or not? However, this positioning increases our ability to judge the depth. This phenomenon is called as stereopsis. What is this phenomenon is called as stereopsis. Now we are going to, with one eye, the world is two-dimensional. Flat eye, the same as your image television screen, that is two-dimensional. But with these two eyes, we will have a three-dimensional vision. So our eyes are separated by few centimeters. Each receives an image which is slightly different. So our brain is combining both the image and giving us a depth in vision. Understood? So it is intersecting the note that it is an interesting note that most of the animal birds have two eyes placed almost diagrammatically on their head. So they will have how much degree? 360 degree. So they have more depth. Understood? Now accommodation of human eye. We already know about power of accommodation. So see, already in classes we had discussion about all the important topics. So I'm going to just finish it so that we will start question answers. Okay, question answers are the main sessions. Once this part will be done, means light chapter entire 400 to 500 questions in one shot we will do. Okay. So now look at the process by which the ciliary muscle alter the focal length is nearby and far off object is called as accommodation of eye. Already. So power of accommodation means normal condition, it will enable us to see the nearby object and far off object. So this will be considered as a power of accommodation. The ability of ciliary muscles will be contracting and relaxing. Okay. So near point and far point. These are defect of vision. Yes, myopia, hypermetropia. Yeah, start 11:23. Till here it is okay. So we'll go for the next point. So there is a limit of the power of accommodation, understood 25 centimeters. But sometimes what happened that the visibility will change, understood or not? The maximum distance up to which the normal human can eye will be exactly called as infinity. We will consider it as infinity. Correction we will check. Read this part. Only defect part with question answers we are going to do. So this defect can be corrected by using a concave called as. Yes, it will be a diverging lens. So man suffering from defect wears spectacles for concave lens. Understood? Where sufficient focal length. Due to this lens, ray coming from infinite diverge and seems to come from far off point. So this about this nearby point correction part is there. I think image is there or not for correction. In the second video or second slide it is there. We will do the second slide. I am keeping it in here. Just give me